Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
Well, that wasn't good. That was bad. Real bad. Ugly. Hideous. Gross. I never really thought that it could get this low on the road trip, just based off of not having Embiid, not having Simmons, not having Josh Richardson. It would be hard to have a really tough loss when you're going into a road trip like this and you're down so many players. But you knew this Sixers team would find a way, right? Based off of the season they had so far. You knew there was going to be a way to really feel brutal in the heart, in the stomach, based off of a poor performance. You're going up against a team in the Golden State Warriors that doesn't have Steph Curry or Draymond Green, and they have a bunch of trash out there. Now, here's the thing. When you look at the numbers offensively, Tobias Harris gave you 24 points, right? Now, he shot horribly in the first half. He shot way better in the second half. Came up with big buckets down the stretch. The big and one. The big three. There was that awful offensive 3 seconds call, which was a legitimate joke and an embarrassment from a referee standpoint. But he gave you what he gives you. That is what Tobias Harris gives you. When you look at Al Horford's night, 22, 10, and 7. I didn't think Al Horford was the problem at all. You can look throughout the roster. Shake Milton gave you 14. Would I have liked to see more out of Shake Milton? Yeah, I would have. Glenn Robinson III gave you 15 points. He had an explosive third quarter. Alec Burks had a nice second quarter. He gave you 11 points. Neto gave you 11 points in 19 minutes. Korkmaz got abused, and we'll get to that late second possession. But when you look at offensively, how well they shot from the field. It wasn't the issue in terms of, the narrative sometimes in games like this is, we paid Tobias Harris this much money. We paid Al Horford this much money. They got to make it happen. They got to step up. I didn't think those two were really the issues, to be honest with you. It's weird. When you look at the stat sheet, what was the issue? Korkmaz didn't play well. Mike Scott could have given you more, but I didn't think he was atrocious. It came down to defensively, though. Defensively, yeah, there were some problems. I guess I'm looking more offensively that nothing stands out to me to this piss-poor degree. Defensively, I couldn't believe what I was witnessing. Where's the effort? Where's the intensity? Now, I'm not going to tell you that this team is built on defense when you have arguably the best rim protector in the NBA out. I might say Rudy Gobert, but if it's the conversation of Embiid or Rudy Gobert, okay, then you have the second best rim protector in the NBA. Ben Simmons, who's arguably Defensive Player of the Year, and Josh Richardson, who is this good perimeter defender. These players, no, they're not known to be defensive threats besides Matisse Thybulle, and he got cut short minutes. I'm going to criticize Brett Brown after this one. I thought he was pretty much awful, to be honest with you. I thought he had a really bad game. And, it's got to be really bad for me to look at Brett and say, this is on you, bud. But in this basketball game, to go to Furkan Korkmaz to win the game late after he had a terrible basketball game, awful game, he steps out of bounds on the last possession. Now, that goes on him, that part, stepping out of bounds. But it goes on Brett for dialing up a play for Furkan Korkmaz as well. Now, a few games ago, I even tweeted, when you look at Korkmaz, he might actually lead the league in stepping out of bounds by the three-point line. Always. This was the second time it happened in this game alone. He always does that. You got to be more aware. That's basketball IQ stuff. You got to be better than that from a player. But I also have to look at Brett and say, you can't go to Furkan in that moment. Logically, I see what Brett's thinking. We need a three. Who's our best three-point shooter? Okay, Korkmaz. But when you watch that game, There's no reason why you would think Korkmaz would be the guy to deliver in that spot. It wasn't his night. There are nights where it is his night. He's dropping 35 points, 30 points. Okay, you can go to Korkmaz in that spot. This game, no. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't do a lick against this trash Golden State Warrior squad. Now, here's my other criticism. Late in the game, I wrote down the whole entire segment here. Horford takes a three. And the three was an open look, and Al Horford made some shots in this game, so I wasn't disappointed. This was late down the stretch. The Sixers needed a bucket. They were down. Horford takes the three. It hits the rim. Tobias gets a nice board. He passes it through some traffic into the paint to Mike Scott, who went soft up with it. It gets swatted. Now, the Sixers have the ball by the perimeter, and they're not doing much with it. They had 2 timeouts. 2 timeouts. But instead, the Sixers end up living with a Shake Milton 30-footer with the shot clock expiring. When you realize nothing's really happening, nothing's developing, call timeout. I'm not totally against letting the players play. Here's the thing, though. You're working with some bench guys. You're working with some new guys out there. You don't have Ben, Joel. You don't have those players in the moment out there. And to be honest with you, they need to be coached. They're not at the point yet where I really rely on them. But I understand with your starters, sometimes you say, hey, play it out. I trust you. I get that sometimes. Once again, this moment, absolutely not. You got 2 timeouts. You got a lot of young guys out there, new guys out there. Not so much young guy, but new guys out there. No. You use your timeouts. I thought Brett had a tough performance late in this game as the Sixers get outscored by 12 by this Golden State Warriors team. You got Pascal and you got Lee doing their thing, making buckets. Defensively, the effort was really bad. They couldn't get stops at all. And that's when I question, Korkmaz playing these minutes when Matisse Thybulle wasn't getting much run. And I've been very clear on my stance when it comes to Matisse Thybulle as of late. He has been underwhelming. He hasn't been that defensive threat as he was earlier in the season. It seems like the long season is definitely getting to him. But when you need stops and Korkmaz isn't making shots, he can't be doing anything defensively either. And this is why I get frustrated with Korkmaz and what he brings to the table more times than not, because it's this. And I don't see how Brett keeps him in when it gets this ugly. Because he's a threat from 3? Okay, not if he's not making them. Sometimes it's not his game. More times than not, it's not his game. But when it's not, get him off the court and put in Matisse Thybulle. Now, late in the game, late possession, Korkmaz being on the court makes sense because it can distract people because he is a three-point shooter, but don't give him the ball tonight. Last play, draw up a play. Okay, he should be on the floor just based off of spacing. But can we go to someone else? Can we do something else? I can't believe they let that one go. They let that one slip. They were in control, and they totally let it get out of hand. Now, before we talk more about this dumpster fire, do not forget about my promo code BROADS that you can use at SeatGeek's checkout page for $20 off of your total purchase. It's a no-brainer. It's free parking. Make sure you use the promo code BROADS today. So for an NBA prime time game, that was abysmal, especially early. It got better because the game got closer in the fourth quarter, so entertainment value went up. Skill level, though, absolutely did not, of course. Man, going through that second quarter, the first half, it was such an ugly watch. And maybe it's because the excitement of the Flyers was involved. I had the 2 TVs in my basement, Flyers, Sixers, and I was watching both. and the Flyers going for their 9th straight win. They're playing phenomenal as a team. It's two extreme opposites. The Sixers being the Sixers and the Flyers being red hot. It's so much fun to watch. Maybe after the Flyers game ended, it was just so hard for me to get invested in that slop of, Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson III and Shake Milton. Like, I want Ben Simmons back. I want Joel Embiid back. I want it to at least be entertaining from a talent standpoint, like legitimate star talent standpoint. The problem here is 2-2 would have been a nice road trip. It would have been. Based off of circumstances, 2-2 going back home, you would take it in a heartbeat. 1-3, at the time, before the road trip happened, I probably would have been satisfied with that. But once you see how it played out, once you saw the fourth quarter against the Warriors, when they didn't even have Steph Curry, when they didn't have Draymond Green, they had nobody out there. To lose to this team, that's terrible. Terrible. And I blame players more than I blame coaching staffs. That's been something I'm pretty consistent with. When you look at this game, though, I know defensively that's the issue, and you can yell at players for being bad defensively. Moments down the stretch, allowing them to get and ones, allowing them to get good looks. At times, those players need to be better defensively. You can't lose this game, though. And when you look at what the team gave you and what players gave you throughout the night, this was a winnable game. And when it comes down to the way that it came down, I need to look at Brett Brown, and you have to put your team in a better position. I can't yell at Tobias. I can't yell at Al Horford. Tobias was ugly in the first half. There's no denying it. Some shots were brutal. Some three-point attempts, ugly, short, bad form, not setting his feet, just ugly looks, bad takes. But second half, he had a couple great plays where he put the ball on the floor. He went to the rack. He used a little floater. Late fourth quarter, he was making big buckets. Al Horford's giving you 22, 10, and 7. What more can you want? What more can you expect? I can't go with the mindset of, we paid you hundreds of millions, you got to do it and step up. These are what it is. This is what it is. We know what Tobias Harris averages a night. He gave you 24. He took a lot of shots, but this is around his average. This is what he is. I think Al Horford gave you more than what he is based off of this season. I can't yell at them. So what does it come down to? I think it came down to the lack of defense as a team and Brett Brown late. That was abysmal stuff. It really was. That was ugly, really hideous, bad management out of Brett. And he got outcoached by Steve Kerr when Steve Kerr literally had nothing on the floor. You can look at what Pascal has been doing this season. And he's had nice numbers. And he's a player who's really turning into his own. And I like him based off the fact that he's a Villanova kid. And it's fun watching all these Villanova kids doing some work in the NBA. How about DiVincenzo out there playing for Milwaukee? I saw that kid block LeBron James the other night. Are you serious? Are you kidding me? I know Brunson's mucking around too. You got some good Villanova talent making their ways through the NBA. Mikal Bridges, now I would have expected him to maybe produce a little bit more than he has been. But you're seeing talent with Villanova, and Pascal's been making some noise for himself, no doubt about it. He's been scoring buckets. But still, there's no way the Sixers should have lost this game. There's just no way. There's no way. Now, when you go small and you rock this mindset of jacking up threes with this small lineup and you're spacing everybody out and just pulling up, you're going to give up more points. That's natural. And over the last 3 games, before this one, the 3 before this on the road trip, it wasn't anything insanely pathetic, disgusting. In this one, it felt differently. And maybe it's a mindset thing. Maybe it's because these players thought, okay, listen, we're playing Golden State. We're playing this team without Steph, without Draymond. We don't need to compete. We can go out there and just do it. Maybe that's the difference, because when you play the Clippers, when you play the Lakers, you're totally checked in differently. You have a different mindset. And the Kings, they're not good by any means, but they're not the Golden State Warriors either. And the Sixers thought, hey, this is a winnable game. Maybe we can snap this road streak. So when they play the Kings, they have a different sense of urgency. And I'm not blaming the players for their defensive effort, because that is solely on them, competing hard, wanting to work, willing to work. I did think they did enough to win, and late, I don't think the coach put them in the best position to succeed. So that's how I see this one playing out. It's so hard for me to judge, though. I mean, listen, this team is what it is, right? It is what it is. To expect much different, okay, you could expect a win against Golden State. I won't knock you for having that mindset. My point is, though, how deep are we into the season? The answer is very deep. This team and what it has shown us through this whole entire season, banged up or not banged up, isn't it obvious they're not on the Milwaukee Bucks level? Isn't it obvious they're not on the Lakers level? They don't pass the eye test. Now, when they are willing to compete, it's fun to watch and they can beat good teams here and there, but it doesn't pass the eye test. There's just something wrong. They're not gelling. There's just something wrong. And I know they don't have Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, Josh Richardson, but there's something wrong even when those guys are in the lineup too. It doesn't pass the eye test. It doesn't pass the smell test. It doesn't. So for me to get all worked up and to get all biting my fists and swinging punches and so pissed off, I guess I'm just over that point. Because it's settled in already what this team is. I feel like I know what they are. They're not good enough at the end of the day. It doesn't mean they can't make it to the second round and they're automatically losing in the first round or whatever the case may be. Whatever happens, happens. I just feel like my expectations have changed so long ago, and I'm over the I'm pissed off mindset. It's more of this is what they are mindset. So it makes losses like this, I guess, easier because I'm less frustrated because I understand what type of team they are. They have 10 wins on the road. That road record is so hard to even process. Think about if they had 5 more road wins. There's 5 more road wins compared to what they do at home. You're talking about a completely different seeding. You're talking about battling with the Boston Celtics. The road woes is crucifying this squad. And this isn't one of those games where I can blame injuries. No, you got more talent. You have more talent. Get it done. Get it done. And I thought the coach fouled them late. So, perfect time here to take some phone calls. The 24/7 Anytime hotline, phone number 856-442-9805. You can call in and leave a message at any time. Let's start us off.
I really want to know why Brett Brown thought it was okay to leave in Korkmaz when the Warriors are literally scoring literally everything, and then Korkmaz is giving you nothing. Like, how does Matisse not see the floor when the Sixers clearly need a stop? I don't understand at this point. I don't understand.
Just the little subtle, I don't understand. At the end, that's just showing the frustration. It's a little way to show how disappointed he really is and how he's clueless. He's clueless. He doesn't understand how that is very possible. And, I watched Korkmaz struggle a lot of times, and I never understood why he was on the floor for as much time as he gets. When his nights are cold, his nights are really, really cold. And when you see that happening, you got to pull the trigger. But here's the thing. You're down guards. And when you're down guards, you got to find a way to utilize your bench differently. But the argument is you need defense. You need stops. And Matisse Thybulle can at least give you that motor defensively. He's not good offensively whatsoever. So if Korkmaz isn't going to give you offense, he's going to get toasted defensively. If Matisse isn't great at offense, but he can at least defend, you're at least getting the defensive side, which can help the team when they can't get a damn stop all night long.
What up, bros? What do you know? Another loss on the road. A winnable game, too. I feel like Brett, he coached a good game this game. He coached well until the last couple minutes. Furkan wasn't really doing nothing. You should have got him out of there because he was awful. Our team, we just lacked that foot on the neck mentality. Like, we need that player. I mean, we didn't have Ben and Joel, but we still should have won this game. This is a winnable game. Man, Al Horford, he was the only really good spot this game for us. Well, and Glenn Robinson too. He played well. Man, I feel like we leave a lot of money on the board, man. We lose way too many of these games. I don't care if we missing Ben, Joel, Jimmy Butler. I don't care who we missing. Man, we got to start. I don't know. We got to get something together.
I don't know if there is much you can possibly do right now, honestly. So Kenny Atkinson gets fired, and it's a mutual leaving, if you will. That's how they framed it, and it seems like some of the players wanted him out of there. And I like Kenny Atkinson. I thought he can be a pretty damn good coach in this league. It's odd to see him leave. Like, if he's such a good coach, why would players want him out of there so badly? Now, it seems as if the players and Kenny Atkinson didn't get along totally, and this is a tough business. It's a players' league, so you're going to have to find a way to make players happy as well. It's a tough atmosphere. These are guys who make way more than you. These are guys that control everything. You got to find a way to make them happy, yet still have your structure as well. It didn't seem like Kenny Atkinson wanted to really be involved with some of those players either. Here's the thing, though. You can't get rid of Brett Brown now just to hire Kenny Atkinson. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So that would be an offseason move. Would I like someone like him? I would. I think he would be a coach that can help these players and a new voice. I will also say, though, when you don't watch a coach for 82 games, you see things differently. When you watch a coach for 82 games, watch every ending to every game, watch every single dribble, every rotation, every little move that coach makes, it's different. Kenny Atkinson has flaws. All coaches have flaws. He's a good coach. He is. Things will change, though, if you see him coach night in, night out, every single game. When you look at people from afar, it's a lot different than when you have them in front of you and part of your organization. Now, if it's possible to get a guy like him, I'm all for it over a Jason Kidd or things like that. I don't know why Jason Kidd is a name that people really enjoy. He struggled big time as a head coach. People fall in love with names. I think Kenny Atkinson actually has some sort of good track record in this league. But I digress. There's no reason for that conversation right now because the Sixers aren't going to make that move right now. I just thought it was a pretty interesting bomb that went off, a Woj bomb, a Shams bomb, that they decided to move and part ways. But that's because there's a big problem right now with the Stars not wanting him as coach, and I guess the feelings were mutual with him and the team. It's a hard mix. I mean, everyone wants to scream that you got to sit guys. You got to sit them. You got to do this. So you can't piss these players off. Whether it's right or wrong, they have all the power.
What's up, bro? This is Korkmaz. I'm convinced we're not winning shit this year. And I get it. We were missing 3 starters. I get it. I totally get it. And that's an excuse when you're playing, I don't know, a good team. We're playing the Warriors. The Warriors, like literally one of the worst teams in the league. We cannot beat them. I don't understand. And this just goes to prove how overpaid Tobias and Al Horford are. Because there was a reason that a smart GM, being Jerry West, offered Tobias 4 years, $80 million, literally the year before we offered him $100 million more. I mean, there was a reason for that because he's not that guy. He's a nice player. Don't get me wrong. He's a nice player. He's a good player to have on your team, but he's not a max contract guy. I mean, how do you lose to the Warriors? I mean, there's a bunch of G League players on their team. I don't like, we literally cannot win on the road. We can't win on the road. I've never seen a team be so dominant at home and so terrible on the road. I mean, it's crazy to watch. I was just happy to be headed back home at this point. We went 1-3 on this trip. I was hoping to go 2-2, but it is what it is. I can't say I'm shocked. At least we didn't go 0-4.
I'll say something on your Tobias Harris point. He's not a max player, but didn't everyone know that prior to signing him? And you mentioned he's a nice player. He is. He gives you 20 points a night. He consistently is giving you 20 points a night. When you have Ben Simmons, when you have Joel Embiid, when you have other pieces, Tobias was brought in here to be that third option, that third guy. Look around what Chris Middleton's doing. Same type of thing, max player. But he's not a max player. It's the same thing. There's plenty of teams that once you have your stars, and in this case, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are the stars of the organization, you will overpay for a guy like Tobias. You will overpay for a guy like Chris Middleton. That is a standard thing around the NBA. For example, if the Sixers didn't have Al Horford's contract and they overpaid Tobias with that max, which they did, but it's not an uncommon thing in this league, you have plenty to work around to make this roster better. It's the Al Horford contract that's more than Tobias. I don't really blame Tobias in this game. I don't blame Al Horford. They gave you what they give you. If Tobias had 12 points, you can really scream at him. He gave you 24. He averages just under 20. I mean, that is what he is. To demand him to do more than what he is, well, I don't know. I don't feel like that's fair or that's justified. We know he's not a Ben Simmons. At times, we can be pissed off with Ben and say, you have to take over because he has the power to really do that. Same with Joel Embiid. But it's different with a guy like Tobias. You said it yourself. He's a nice player. All right, well then why would you expect a nice player to give you 45 and dominate? I mean, that's just not what he is. Me, right now, Broads, I'm blaming Brett Brown the most in this one. And that doesn't come out of my mouth a lot.
See, that's what makes it so aggravating to be a Philly sports fan right there, man. It's just hard to just watch them when they just suck. But, I gotta tell you, I don't know what Brett Brown is thinking, and I know everyone's probably jumping on Brett Brown for this, but, Korkmaz was 1 for 5 from the three for the entire game. For 24 minutes, that was all he did was just go 1 for 5 from the 3-point line. And you have Glenn Robinson that's not in. You have, I would have rather had Matisse Thybulle for defensive lockdowns because, the defense was abysmal in the fourth quarter. Abysmal. Tobias Harris gets outrun by everybody, and he looks like he's supposed to be the most athletic person on the team, and he gets outrun. It's just, and, listen, they don't have Steph Curry and they don't have Draymond Green, but, And so we pretty much lost their G League, and we kind of have our G League a little bit going on right now. But man, I can't tell you how bad I want Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid and Josh Richardson to come back. Shake Milton was a nice diamond in the rough. Al Horford got 20 points tonight, but bro, those guys got to come back fast.
They do need to come back fast, just from an entertainment standpoint. I'm getting bored watching this team. I'm not having fun turning the TV on and watching, with all due respect, Shake, Glenn Robinson, Alec Burks, Matisse, Furkan. I need Ben. I need Joel. I need those players. I do. Even if Josh Richardson was playing in this game, the needle still isn't moved for me. I need these players back just from an entertainment standpoint. I don't care if they lose in ugly fashion. At least I'm seeing something better than that. I'm bored of this team and the injuries. I'm bothered and bored by it.
I can't believe what I just watched. That was so bad and so inexcusable to lose to the Warriors without Steph Curry. Furkan Korkmaz is so bad. I'm struggling in the words that he's so freaking terrible. How many times does someone, how can he step out of bounds so many times? He's done it, I would guess, 20 freaking times this season. It is ridiculous. And I'm going to say something. I have never once given a shit about hockey or the NHL or the Flyers. The Flyers right now are my team. The Flyers are my team. I'm so sick and tired of getting behind this sorry-ass excuse of the Philadelphia 76ers team. They can't beat the Warriors without Steph Curry, without Klay Thompson, without Draymond Green on the road. I'm so tired of it. That is so disgusting and so inexcusable. I cannot believe that they actually just lost that game. I'm so upset right now. Oh, God damn. See you, bros.
I love that. I mean, not the pain. I don't love the pain. I don't love the suffering. Just that call in general, though, and the Fly Guys, baby. That's really what it comes down to, because this Flyers team is remarkable right now, and the Sixers are absolutely miserable. And I'm not happy about that. I want both teams to succeed. I love the Sixers to death just as much as I love the Flyers. But just hearing the difference in where these teams are right now, it's night and day, in two totally different directions at this very moment, and two totally different set of expectations, which is wild to process. So with that being said, yes, they fell. They fell to the worst team in the league. They finally won a game at home. That's great. That's great. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.